Today we're gonna make a real family favorite, pasta bolognese. This is one of the best recipes you can make when the weather cools down. So let's go over the ingredients quickly. I have 1 medium onion that is finely diced, 2 celery ribs finely diced, and 1 medium carrot finely diced. If you don't want to break out your knife and finely dice them, just throw all of it in a food processor. Get it really small. It helps it melt, come together into your bolognese. I have 3 anchovies. This is an atypical ingredient, but it's going to add a much more umami flavor, meaty flavor to it. It's not going to add a seafood flavor to it. And I also have a Parmigiano rind over here. That's the other kind of flavor boosting ingredient. You can take both of these out. You can use one or the other. The choice is yours. If you take both of them out, the recipe is still going to be really good. I have 1 cup of dry red wine. I have 1 cup of low sodium or no sodium beef stock. I have a ½ cup of milk. The traditional way to do this, they always if you look at the Bologna Chamber of Commerce, which, they like to say this is the official recipe. It will say if you're using a dried pasta, which is what I have, you can use a little bit of cream at the end too. And really the choice is yours if you want to do that. But the milk is going to tenderize the meat while we let our bolognese simmer. We have 5 ounces of pancetta, okay, that's our starting fat. If you don't have that, you can't get it, you could just use olive oil. I have 2 28-ounce cans of plum tomatoes. You can blender pulse these. You can use crushed if you like. The choice is yours there as well. 3/4 pound ground chuck, 3/4 pound ground pork, 2 bay leaves, and the pasta. So the pasta, I love pappardelle with this. This is a dried one that is non-egg based. You can also buy an egg-based one in the store. You can use your own homemade fresh pasta if you want to go that extra effort. Rigatoni, any tubular pasta will work. Fettuccine, tagliatelle, or really anything that's substantial. What I wouldn't use would be a thin pasta. I wouldn't use spaghetti, which is very popular in the United States. I would use one of the pastas I suggested. Okay, so I have a 5-quart low brazier so you can just see in there. I want to use an oven-safe pot, so a heavy pot. It can be stainless steel, it could be a Dutch oven, anything like that, because we're going to cook this in a 300 Fahrenheit degree oven for the majority of the time, which makes it easier, especially if you have an electric stove, where the sauce, where your ragu will start to burn often, okay? So I have this on medium, and I'm just going to put all the pancetta in there. All right, so we're gonna let this go until it starts rendering a good amount of fat, and then we will add our meat into the equation. Okay, so while our pancetta is getting going, I just wanna let you know this recipe is in our new cookbook, Sip and Feast Family Favorites. You can turn the heat down a little bit if it's starting to brown a little too much. Right now, I just lowered it to a 3 out of 10. So the cookbook has over 100 recipes, 256 pages, great instructions, and we really think it solves the problem of what am I gonna cook tonight? So there's something for everyone in there, but yeah, we're making a pasta today and there is a lot of pasta in the cookbook. The link is up here, QR code here if you're watching on TV. If you don't like cookbooks, buy it for a friend or family who does. It would make a great, I would say, Christmas gift. And we're just really happy to be done with this process, to be sharing it with you. Have no fear though, if you 100% don't want to buy a cookbook, the recipe will be completely in the description for you. Thanks. Okay, so the pancetta has rendered. Okay, you're just left with these little pieces here. And there's a lot of fat in the pan. Gonna push it off to the side. And then you can turn your heat up a little bit here. We're gonna put all the meat in. All right, I'm just gonna try to push it around just so I get some even contact in my pot, pan, whatever you're using. Just use something that's large enough to make sure that you can get all of your ragu in there. Gonna pull some of that pancetta on top so I can spread this out more and turn it up even more. About a 6 out of 10. Okay, we're not gonna get much color here, but we wanna just cook our meat initially, and then we will move on to the vegetables, which is the next step. It's a very easy recipe. There's really nothing to this. It just comes down to cooking time, and I'll say it later, but I'm gonna say it again anyway. Overnight, it's a million times better. So you can make all this, you can do this on the weekend, and then you can have it during the week for really easy pasta night. Okay, so while that's going, while the meat is going, the tomatoes, you can just hand crush these, you can blender pulse them, or I've just been using this immersion blender a ton lately because it's so darn easy. Sometimes you'll get tomatoes that have a bunch of basil in it. I would remove the basil. It's not really a flavor component I want in bolognese, and most people don't want. And then your 2 cans that you have, just rinse out the cans and you'll get a lot more tomato in there. and just pour the excess into with your other tomatoes. All right, we'll put these off to the side because we don't need them quite yet. Okay, so it's been going for a few minutes there. I'm just gonna start breaking it up. I'm gonna use a meat masher, but you could just use a wooden spoon if you don't want this, but I gotta tell you, this is a great tool. It's $8. And you can just like get in there and twist it. All right, we're gonna let it keep going. We'll get rid of some of that water in the pan. I'm gonna turn the heat up even more. Okay, so that's good. Most of the water has evaporated. You can season this with a little bit of salt right now, but I wouldn't do too much. If it's not broken up enough for you, just go back in with your spoon or the meat masher. But that's broken up fairly well. Okay, I'm gonna turn the heat down. So I'm just actually gonna just turn it off for a second. Okay, I really need to get a bigger one of these slotted spoons because when you're dealing with enameled, you shouldn't put metal in a pot like this. I want to just remove my meat just temporarily so we can do our vegetables. There's just not enough room to do this in the pot. I mean, you can throw it in if you like, but I would just take it out. It'll be quicker too doing it this way. All right, you don't have to get every last bit. Okay, all the vegetables. Okay, that's 1 medium onion that's finely diced, 2 celery ribs finely diced, and 1 medium carrot finely diced. Again, use a food processor if you want. I'm gonna turn the heat to about a 3 or 4 out of 10. I don't wanna brown these. I wanna get them very soft though and get the sweetness out of them. Okay, pinch of salt again. I'm gonna need olive oil in here. Even though I had all the fat there, most of it I just pulled out of the pan, it's fine. So get some more olive oil in here to help it out. And then the anchovy. Now, if you don't want to use these, you don't have to. You would just omit it at this step, but these are going to melt in there too. I have 3 anchovy fillets. Okay, you can just mash it a little bit, but it's all going to melt regardless. I love anchovies so much, I eat them like this. I just love them. But the flavor is going to be a meatier flavor, which is what we want for our bolognese. I can't tell you how many bad bolognese I've had in my life, just where they lack a lot of flavor, because the ingredients it's not very, on its own, there's not too much there. You know, other cuisines like, you know, say Mexican or Asian, they be adding a ton of spices, a ton of everything in it. And, you know, Italian food is more about simplicity, but I still think this is not gonna hurt, it's gonna make it better by putting that in there. You know, you might do that, you might say, oh, I need even a couple more. All right, we're gonna let these really get nice and soft. This whole process here is going to take about 15 minutes. If anything starts burning, add a splash of water or just take your pot off the heat for a second so it can cool down. So this has been about 7 minutes. I'm going to let them go for at least another 7 or 8 minutes. All right, that's what that looks like now. Now again, don't brown it, don't put color on it. Just keep a little bit of water next to you and just pour it in if you need to, but I don't need to. I have the heat just right. Perfect. All right, so this has gone for about 15 minutes, but I mean, you know, if you got the time, do it even a little bit longer. It's going to be better, but that's nice and soft. You can see how the celery kind of loses its color almost completely. Everything is released its water and you don't have as much as when you started with, as much volume as when you started with. So let's get all that meat back in there. All the meat, all the fat. All right, let's cook this for a few minutes together. Okay, I'll turn the heat up a little bit now to about medium. Okay, so here's a cup of dry red wine. I'm using Chianti, I think. I don't know. I got like a couple bottles in the fridge. Any dry red wine is fine for this, but you can also use white wine for this too. Either one is fine. People often ask, what's the difference? Red is definitely more body. I always associate that with beef. Red and white are fine for any meat dish like this, but it's not the other way around. You wouldn't, when you're making fish, use a red wine. You would normally use a white wine for like something like, say, like a cod piccata or something like that. But for anything like this, don't feel like you have to like go out and buy a bottle. You can use a dry white or a dry red. Okay, I'm gonna turn it up. Okay, it's almost high, and I just want this red wine to absorb into the meat right now. It's gonna evaporate quickly because it was just a cup. Wine has a lot of flavor. It's hard to cook a lot of dishes as well when you're not using it. All right, now, granted, I know if you can't have it, there's other things you can use, but you know, when you go to a typical restaurant, they're almost always using wine in almost all their dishes. All right, I'm just gonna let it all evaporate, really infuse it. Now we're just left with the fat down there. Okay, that's 1 cup of low sodium beef stock. I'm actually using no sodium. Thankfully, I think I just have enough room in this pot. Okay, just bring this to a boil or rapid simmer, whatever. Just get it hot before we put it into the oven. You don't want to put it in when it's cold. It'll just take too long to heat back up again. And I just made it. This is a 5-quart brazier. And the primary reason I'm using this is so you could see better with the camera here. Okay, if I was doing this on my own without shooting a video, I would use something higher, bigger, like an 8-quart. But it's going to reduce when it cooks. You can also add about a 1/4 cup to a 1/2 cup of milk right now. The 2 bay leaves and the parm rind. Okay, so the milk helps tenderize that meat a little bit, but the meat's already would be fine without it. But we're going to follow standard protocol here by adding a little bit of the milk. Okay, that's enough. Just make it's hot. Now everything's hot through. Turn it off. Now listen, if you don't have an oven, I recommend you do it in the oven, 300 degrees Fahrenheit for 3 hours. Okay, 3 hours. Then we'll uncover it. We'll let it cook a little bit longer. If you don't have access to an oven, you don't want to cook in your oven, heat up your home, you can do it on the stove top. Just, you're going to have to come by and stir it fairly regularly so nothing is sticking. Right now, just check that nothing is sticking. It's completely smooth at the bottom, and it is completely smooth. So this means it's not going to stick in the oven at 300 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? If you do it on the stove top, just cover it, very low simmer, stir it occasionally. All right, so I'm going to take this off, and we'll be back in 3 hours to see how it looks. Okay, so it's been 3 hours, roughly 3 hours. Pull that off. You can see that. Ooh, that looks good. Okay, so fat, a lot of fat is going to be at the top now. So now all I'm going to do here is, I'm not even going to mix it right now. Just let the fat stay on the top. Let's put it back in the oven to get it a little bit more concentrated. I don't really want to mix, but I'm just going to go in here like this, and there's still a lot of liquid in here because our lid was very tight, so it limited evaporation. So I'm just going to leave it in there, let it concentrate a little bit, about 30 minutes, and then we will check it from there. And we're almost at the finish line. I can't wait to try this one. I think the taste testers are going to love it. This is another 30 minutes. It went down a little bit. Definitely could have went more. You have a choice right now. You can degrease some of this fat. There's a lot of fat here. There's 80-20 chuck. There's pork, which is a lot of fat. There's the pancetta, some olive oil. There's a lot of fat in here. The milk. You can do this like with a ladle. You can just, I'm going to show you a really quick way to do it. And you're better off waiting, but because I want to eat soon, and I know the taste tester is going to want to try this too. The longer you let this sit, and you let this sit overnight, then it's super easy to do. It'll just all float to the top. Some people don't take the fat out at all here. They'll just, go for eat the whole thing like that. But wherever there's like a lot of fat, I'll just come around with a paper towel and just pull a good amount of it out like so. It's going to take some of the tomato away, but take some of it out. Again, overnight, you're going to be able to get it all. And, there's not a ton here. You can fish those 2 bay leaves out. You can eat the parm that you put in there, the little parm rind. Bring the water to boil, and you can simmer this a little bit longer right now while you're waiting. I'm just going to turn it to about a 4 out of 10, roughly medium. Again, you're using dried pasta here. You could add a touch of cream if you like. You could add a little bit more milk in if you like. Now, some people will want it to be very much like on the pinker side, and then you'll sometimes, you'll just like it to look like this, which essentially looks like just a regular meat sauce. You can't even tell that any milk was added to this at all. And I don't need this to be high, so I'm lowering it even more so I don't splash all over the place. You can take a spatula like this, and you can just wipe off the sides a little bit. There's a lot of flavor there on those sides, and you can just push it back into it. And that'll all like go in there too. All right, that's too high. Gotta lower it more. Tara, what do you think? Touch of cream or not?
You could. I like it with...
I think it brings it all together a little bit without changing the flavor at all.
You could do a touch.
Yeah.
You're going to upset the purists, but...
Yeah, well...
You're a rule breaker.
We'll go like that. Exactly. And that's like nothing. Well, they say with dried pasta, it is a pure thing to add the cream, a touch of cream. Because the fresh pasta is so heavy and... like, it's not light. You think like, oh, people say my fresh pasta was so light. There's nothing light about fresh pasta. You can eat less of it, okay? You're using eggs in it, all right? So it's not just flour and water and salt like this is. There you go. I like that more like that. All right, we're just gonna let it simmer very low. Let's do a little taste test. And I definitely feel that little bit of cream, like it just brings it all together. Helps emulsify all that fat, everything into one thing. Oh my God. It is incredible. Tara, you have to try this. This might be the best bolognese I ever made.
Wow.
Right?
Oh my God.
How potent is that?
That's actually, I think that might be your best one.
It's so potent today.
That's amazing.
I gotta be honest, normally bolognese, I always have to put it in the fridge overnight, which is what every single restaurant does. I have to do it with anything, like short rib ragu. I don't have to do it for this one. All right, I'm gonna cook the pasta till it's 1 minute less than al dente. Okay, so the pasta, this pasta says only 6-7 minutes, so I'm gonna check it at 5.
6, 7.
6-7, yeah, exactly. Oh my God, what is that? I can't say 6-7 around my kids anymore, or pretty much anybody under 25.
And apparently not even around someone who's 47 like me.
Yes, exactly. Back to bolognese. I like a little bit of nutmeg. If you don't like this, don't use it. I have a nutmeg, a whole nutmeg, but I like a touch. Go easy, start small, and then work your way up. Because if you put too much in, you're gonna be emailing me like people do with recipes. They're like, James, I made your beefaroni and I put 8 tablespoons of black pepper in it. How can I fix this? The answer is, there's nothing you can do to fix it, okay? So same thing here, if you put too much nutmeg, it's game over. You want a hint of it. All right, so let's go test this. Man, that is so good. All right, so we're good. I'm gonna turn that off. I'm gonna put my ragu right here. And by the way, you're making more than you need for 1 pound of pasta. You should always do that because if you don't have enough, what's the point of doing it? If you have leftovers, just freeze it, save it in the fridge for another maybe half pound or so pasta during the week. Okay, just dump my pasta. Save a cup of pasta water. Depending on how thick your ragu is, you might need a little bit. But we'll see here if we even need it. Okay, medium heat. And I'm just gonna start with a couple big ladles in here. That's my parm rind. I'll just take it out for now. Okay, here's my pasta. Beautiful pappardelle, or as they say here, pappardelle.
You're saying pappardelle.
Yeah.
The E isn't an E, it's an E.
Pappardelle.
Pappardelle.
Okay.
I'm probably not saying it right either.
And then people here just say pappardelle. Okay, so I'm just gonna put more on. You don't want to oversauce it, but you don't want to undersauce it either, you know? Okay, so I think we're gonna need a little bit of that pasta water. Just a touch.
That looks so good.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, and you don't want to overcook this, so just make sure you're checking this as you're doing it so you don't go over.
I think you need a nice glass of wine with that.
Yeah, this is done. I agree. James isn't having a glass of wine now.
No, of course not.
You can have a glass of wine later. So we're gonna get a nice big block of Parmesan cheese, which is always great on here. All right, we're gonna see what the taste tester thinks. James, I got your favorite. I think it's one of your favorites. I already put cheese on it, but it kind of melted. Do you want more? Why don't you try it first and we can put more?
Yeah, I think it's good.
You are wearing the wrong shirt to be eating bolognese.
Yeah, yes, you are.
I won't make a mess.
You can bring the plate down up if you want. Okay. Want a little sauce? More sauce?
Yeah, sure. Pasta's very thin.
It's a thin pasta, this
Yeah.
one. It only took 5 minutes.
I love bolognese. Like you guys know, it's one of my favorite things. So I already know I'm gonna give it. I'm just eating it.
I want you to try the ragu by itself with nothing else because Mama had it too, and I thought it was like one of the best. I think it's one of the best ones, right?
Very flavorful. I just love ground beef and I love pasta.
Pork in there too.
Yeah.
A little pancetta.
It's a 10. Like for sure. No doubt about it. I already knew I was gonna give it a 10 when I came down here.
Okay.
It's not much to say.
Checks in the mail. What do you think of that pasta? Nice and thin?
Yeah, could be a little thicker.
Thicker? I actually kind of like that one.
In my opinion, I kind of like the pappardelle.
This is the thicker pappardelle you like. We buy so many different brands of it. This was the house brand from the store by us. Del Verde is also very thin. It's wider. It's really thin too. DiCecco's is not super thin. DiCecco makes an egg one and just a semolina one. Rummo, they're all a little different.
What about nutmeg? Did you put nutmeg in it?
I did. Would you want to try a little bit more
nutmeg,
James?
Yeah.
Okay. So nutmeg is very strong. That's why I put a touch of it in it, but Just see what that is.
It's good. It gives you like a nice like fall flavor.
That's right.
Like winter, fall.
Yeah. All right. I guess it's nothing.
So it doesn't get a 6 or a 7, it gets a 10.
So cringe.
I said that before because of the pasta. It said 6 or 7 minutes. All right. Anyway, you can look up what that means because he doesn't know it. Nobody knows what it means. This is in the cookbook. It's a recipe that it's very similar to the one that's already on our website. I'm going to link the website recipe. I'll probably put this one in the description. Really, the only difference is the addition of anchovy and the palm rind, I think. So they're both fairly similar, and you'll be straight with either one. Thanks for watching. We always appreciate you coming here each and every week. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button because YouTube has a tendency now to unsubscribe people. So check if you're subscribed, and keep watching our videos. And James, what are you laughing at me because I'm doing like the typical YouTube thing?
Yeah,
I never did that ever.
Yeah,
but
no, and you shouldn't.
Well, I'm trying a little bit now. I'm trying, bro. Anyway, for those of you who made it to the end, thanks for listening to the rambling.
Yeah,
thanks for watching this guy all these years. And probably next video will probably be 5 inches taller than me, Do it again. I have shoes on. I'll take my shoes off. Let's see.
I'll be benching more than you soon.
This is with my shoes off. You're not going to be benching more than me anytime soon. Anytime soon, bro.
Dude, I went up 20 pounds in a month on bench.
Okay. Anyway, we'll see you next time.